Okay, so I'm here with Alex Music, Bresci, and Archival Mind, and this is a discussion about the events that took place today, which we'll talk about, and you already know if you're clicking on this video. I want to start off by making one thing really clear. Bungie is the sole rights holder to Destiny. Like, they own the copyright, they own the IP, they own every piece of media, every 3D model, every chunk of audio or speck of music. They own it all, and they are the rights holder, period. I saw some shit earlier on Twitter about how, oh, they make a video game, and since video games are like, if you buy the video game, then you have permission to use any of it. No, that's all bullshit. They are the rights holder. This is not a discussion about whether Bungie is the rights holder for Destiny. We are all really on the same page when it comes to that, and I don't think anybody with a valid argument is going to have anything to say about that. So with that out of the way, just to start us off on the right foot, let's break down kind of what happened today and why this matters and why this is a serious problem. So I'm going to walk through it, and then I'm going to let you guys loose. So today I logged into YouTube, and I got this notification that my video was removed due to a copyright takedown request. And upon reviewing the details, it showed that my Prophecy OST video, which was just a video showing the Prophecy original soundtrack, it got removed by Bungie, and I was issued a copyright strike. That's a big deal. What that means is somebody took the time to find that video and manually issue a copyright strike. This is not the thing that happens with Content ID, where the system determines that you're using copyrighted content, and so it issues a claim. This is a copyright strike. This is a different thing. So to figure out why this occurred, I went to Twitter and I asked, why is my Prophecy OST video taken down? Basically to ask, is there been a change to the EULA? Are we allowed to do this anymore? To which the community manager said that they were looking into it, and it looks like it's hit a few people. Things seemed like they were trying to get to the bottom of it until this afternoon, when we've kind of got the final rule of law on what they've decided to do with this. So Cosmo tweeted out, wanted to clarify our policies on using Destiny IP in creator creations. Although we reserve the right to take down any unlicensed use of our IP, we won't generally issue takedown requests if content follows the guidelines laid out on this link. So if we go to that link, it pulls up a paragraph about media, and let's read that real quick before we continue. Players may create videos using Destiny gameplay, which may be uploaded to third-party sharing services like YouTube. If chosen on-demand video service enables players to monetize content, remember that line, we will generally not request a takedown if at least 20% of the content within the video has been created by the player. Examples of what player-created content may be defined as include custom commentary, animations, graphics, or gameplay. Conversely, please do not upload Bungie trailers or cutscenes with mere advertisements or borders that take up 20% of the screen or 20% of the runtime. They're really big on this 20%. Content creators should use our stuff to make their own stuff rather than uploading our content to their channels. That line will also be important. Streaming gameplay is another viable form of sharing community-wide or community-created Destiny content. Services like Twitch enable players to monetize content via subscriptions or donations. For additional information, please refer to the terms of use for your preferred streaming platform. That's the section on media. That's the part that he's effectively pointing out in these tweets. So to follow up with this, he says the main rule to look at: we will generally not request takedown if at least 20% of the content within the video has been created by the player. And he goes on to say, so if you are just uploading our music or OST tracks on a static image or looped several times, you might get a takedown. So this to me says he thinks that's why I received the takedown. If you're using Destiny music in a montage, review, lore video, etc., those are generally okay under our IP use policy. And this is with regards to a tweet that Bife made earlier about this potentially being problematic if we weren't allowed to use music in like lore videos and stuff. So that's to kind of close the door on that, and that's all they've said. In response to that, I only had one thing to say. I said I'd like to add 100% of my video had a custom After Effects animation playing. We'll show you in a bit. My gameplay footage looping in the background. While I understand the need to protect IP, I think that opening up music archivers to strikes isn't it. And that brings us to where we are now. I'd also like to state that I do not give a shit about that video specifically. This is not about, oh no, my video's gone. How can I get my video back for me? I think the issue that we see here is we all see the writing on the wall and the precedent that this sets by having this kind of be the official take on this issue. So we kind of convened. We're throwing together some bullet points and stuff, but I just wanted to kind of pass the ball to you. You guys can start with what we had talked about earlier, like the points in defense of what we're doing, or you can just roll with it. Give me your takes, because this is an important issue for everybody here and a lot of people that aren't here. There's a lot of people in this community that are small, that are just getting into effectively doing what we've been doing. But yeah, take it away.
Not even people who are super small. There's Lorcanic. He does stuff like this.
Yeah, we probably should have asked him to be here, to be honest.
Something that's really important to clarify real quick is, if you think this was a robot doing this, like a bot claiming the video based on copyright, that is extremely, extremely unlikely, because as I understand from both reading Bungie's various terms of service and EULA and all that stuff, that is not a thing that they do. I have never seen an instance. And a lot of game companies do this. Like Microsoft it works the same way. They don't, when you publish music, there are check boxes that you check that essentially create like that type of service where it will automatically flag things that you use. Bungie has never been one to check that box.
I've also noticed that, and they generally allow pretty liberal use of their content. They are not a restrictive creator with regards to what they kind of let their community do. I will note, you bring up a good point, is that when it comes to music, there is this special kind of legal lens that they look through things, specifically with regards to music and audio. And if you've been paying attention,
the last 10 years?
10 years of issues with regards to music and copyright, they have a reason to be a little bit more strict with music and audio than they might be with other parts of the community.
Even still, just to clarify, they generally do not have bots claiming Destiny music. If they did, then, I don't know, My Name is Mike would have every one of his videos copyright struck. Mylan Games would have every one of his videos, or not copyright struck, but they would be claimed. Because the bots aren't able to distinguish, which is a YouTube-wide problem, but the bots can't distinguish between something like that and something like, we're just uploading the music. So generally, they have never checked that box when formally publishing Destiny music. And something else to note is that this music was never formally published to a service that would have done that anyway. This music did see an official release, which was through Bungie Rewards. However, Bungie Rewards music, which we'll probably come to later, does not receive the same treatment in that regard that other officially released music does.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. And and this is something that got brought up in our discussion earlier, was somebody looked at that video that existed and they said, this is a problem that this exists. I need to copyright strike this. This needs to not exist anymore, was the mentality.
Yeah. This was very much a manual copyright strike.
For reasons currently unknown to us.
Yeah. And the problem is we don't know. The problem is we don't know where to go from here, because ultimately this sets a really dangerous precedent. For instance, they could strike two more videos on any one of our channels. Like they could copyright strike.
They could decide overnight that they didn't like two more of those videos, and I could wake up suddenly, and my channel would be gone. That's like if you've ever used Destiny Music Archive, formerly known as Bresci, if you've ever used Promethean Archival Minds channel, if you've ever used Lord Canic's channel just for any purpose to listen to this wonderful music, then all of that could be gone overnight, and that is a problem. That it does set a really dangerous precedent. And what we kind of wanted to do, our whole kind of reason for getting together and making this video, is we want to defend what we're doing here. I guess for starters, I was going to hand the reins off to you guys to do the kind of in defense of the craft, but I really want to jump into, before we go any further, why quoting the legal paragraph here with regards to my video and that 20% rule. I want to talk about that, because this is Cosmo's defense. This is him telling the community, hey, this video violates these guidelines and that's why you got a copyright strike. When in reality, that couldn't be further from the truth. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to show you kind of parts of what was involved, and you'll forgive me, I didn't have this completely prepped. So this is the video. Oh God, actually, I hope it doesn't play the audio. Hold on a second. Let's cut the audio out of that completely. Okay, so I'm pulling up the video here just to kind of show everybody, and this has, I mean, it's got my footage. You see in the background, this is game footage. I've got an effect here. I've got this 9 effect completely throughout the whole video. I went and took capture for this. You guys can't see this, but I'm showing it on screen. I'm just kind of showing that, like, this is not
the still image, like Cosmo had previously mentioned.
Yes, this is not a still image where I took the track that existed and slapped an image on it and uploaded it and monetized it. Also, to be clear, you can kind of see it right here. I've made 0 cents off of every YouTube video I've ever uploaded. I don't monetize videos out of principle, and that's true for everybody here. We all agreed that that was not the right thing to do. Period.
Yes.
So, again, I just want to take another look at the rules for what constitutes player created content, maybe defined as custom commentary. I do not have any commentary. It is just the music in the video. But I do have animations. I do have graphics, and I do have gameplay. And that's 75% of the rules that are written here. I'd also like to point out, or Bresci, you can point this out, because you're the one who pointed it out to me, what was left out of what was quoted.
Yeah, so what Cosmo quoted, the main rule to look at, it starts with, if a chosen video on-demand service enables players to monetize content, we will generally not request takedown if at least 20% of the content within the video has been created by the player. But Cosmo left out that entire first part
about the fact that it has to be monetized. And it specifically says, if a chosen video on-demand service enables players to monetize content.
Which, to be clear, that is met because YouTube does allow people to monetize content. But the point still stands that my content is not monetized and has never been. And none of your content has been monetized or will ever be, as long as this is what we continue to do. So that's there in principle. I felt like that would have been necessary to include. But again, that could just be nitpicky, but it is important because it is the full scope of what matters there. Specifically because he says it's the main rule to look at. And to be honest, I don't think this is Cosmo trying to pull a fast one on anybody. I think this is what he got handed and was like, hey, this is why this is occurring. Deal with it effectively.
Yeah, definitely not a Cosmo thing, I don't think, because Cosmo has actually been very helpful with us in the past without going into details. I've met him in person. He's a really nice guy. He's super nice.
This is not him speaking. This is him doing a good job as a community manager by relaying the wishes of the company to the community.
Yeah. Period. He's just doing his job.
So
it's a simple way to put it.
Now that that's out of the way, I don't want to talk about, I think, my strike anymore. I think we've covered that to death. And ultimately, I don't even think it's the most important thing. What that is the catalyst for this conversation to take place. And it sets the precedent that this is not a safe thing to do anymore, because they can just strike you for not following the guidelines, even if you follow the guidelines. That's what this means. So
yeah,
I'm gonna shut up. Why don't you guys take it away with what we were talking about earlier about why this is so important to do? Bresci, I'd love you and Promethean specifically. You guys are the main driving force behind making sure this content doesn't die.
So I think something important to start off with is this is not us taking music that was formerly released and just putting it in a video. We are taking music that plays in the game that was never formally released and uploading it so that music isn't essentially lost forever when that Destiny content vault stuff happens.
And some of it does get released in the form of a soundtrack. Bresci, this is your bread and butter. Walk everybody through why it's not just downloading the soundtrack from the Bungie store, slapping that song into a video and uploading it. Explain why that's not the case.
Yeah, you've put thousands of hours into learning how literally every track works.
Okay, so I think I'll start off with saying something that Sky told me. Just the Destiny soundtracks, like that they put on that they officially release, those are basically to give you a little taste into what's in the game. Like, he's told me straight up, those are not fully what you're gonna hear in game. And I'm sure they've publicly said many times, like, everything that you get on the soundtracks is not gonna be what you'll hear in game. There's gonna be a lot of stuff missing. So
it's been saying that as far back as Halo Combat Evolved. I mean, you buy the CD and it says, this is not how the music will play in the game. And I think I remember the CD note saying something along the lines of, if there's something in the game that isn't on here, it's because you played the game a different way than the way it was put together on the soundtrack.
Yeah. And this isn't me telling them that I think they should release all this music, because realistically, I don't think that's possible. Like, even Owen, probably how much music there is in the game. I think you've counted. It's like a lot of hours, way too much for them to release.
I can give specific numbers, but I'm going to let you keep talking.
Yeah. So, as great as I think it would be if they released everything, I don't think that's possible. But, that was one reason why I wanted to start archiving all this music, just because people are going to listen to something in game. The first place they're going to check is the Bungie YouTube channel and be like, okay, I'm sure Bungie's uploaded this because that's where people expect their music. It's not going to be there. So where do they go? I want them to have a place to listen to that music. And then that leads to reason number two. last year with Beyond Light, they introduced the Destiny Content Vault, which I'm just going to refer to as DCV, where they are just straight up removing planets and destinations from the game, which in terms of it removes music from the game. Like, that music is completely gone, no way to hear. And this is even worse for music that isn't officially released, because now players have no possible way to listen to that music. They can't go to Bungie's soundtracks. They can't go to the Bungie store and buy anything. Like, they can't go in game and listen to it. That music's just gone. So where do they go? I really want there to be a place where people can go to listen to this music, even though it can't play in game anymore. And that's also a lot of time and effort I think the composers put into music, and I don't want all that to go to waste. So I just think it's...
Sorry. I think that is the strongest argument for why, even, let's say we violate every single term that's dictated there. This to me is less of a copyright issue and more of this is almost a service that we're doing by archiving the videos. People typically think of content creators as, oh, they're making content for the purpose of growing a following and to embolden their personality and to, kind of do the whole content creator spiel, which a lot of people do. None of us are doing that in this community as far as we're concerned. This is the first time I've ever been in person in a video. This is the first time you've ever been in person in a video.
Yeah.
You've never heard from us in our videos being like, hey guys, slap that subscribe button, or hey guys, check out my Patreon, or that this is not what that is about. It is about what you're saying, Bresci. It's about archiving and having this be accessible through means that aren't currently available. And if Promethean, I mentioned the word archiving, you kind of want to take over and kind of talk through the next couple points that we have.
Right. So one thing that we make staunchly clear, especially now in our descriptions, is that we do not own any of this. We do not claim ownership for any audio used in the videos, because it's not ours, and we recognize that. But we do everything in our power to make sure that we credit those who are responsible for making the music. That's why we list, the names of the people who wrote a specific track. And we also do not provide downloads for these videos because it's not our place to do so. Like, this is not our music. We are simply uploading it for everyone to listen to at their convenience. We don't make any money off of it. We take a lot of caution to not violate guidelines, and many of us are still, or at least I know that I am still very cautious about what I do with my content in terms of this stuff, because I want to make sure that I stay within the community guidelines.
I think that's...
I don't want to get struck.
Not to interrupt you, but we've all... How long have we collectively talked about not violating the EULA, or what is the best way to make sure that we're doing the right thing when it comes... We've spent hours and hours talking about the best way to do this. And Promethean and Bresci, between you two, how many hours of footage has been uploaded in service of achieving that goal of having that stuff be accessible? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was nodding. Yeah.
So Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. I just thought that was important to point out.
No, I think I got my point there across.
And again, did we talk about we're gonna pull back the curtain a little bit and talk about what the substance of these videos is, maybe without going into too much detail, but did we ever talk about how this is not just Bungie's released audio file getting baked into these videos?
We mentioned it to bring it up later.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way that this works is Bungie will release a soundtrack, which we've talked about, and that contains tracks, right? Nothing that Bungie has ever released in that way has been put on our channels, right? Minus, that might not be true for some of the Bungie reward stuff.
Reward stuff.
Yeah, which we'll get to. That has its own special caveat. But by and large, the music is stored in the files in chunks, and it's cut up and it's not put together. And part of the process for making these videos is we will use a system of programs and, expertise to assemble the music and rebuild these tracks from the ground up and then render them out as music files. And then that's what gets put into a video. So it is not as simple as, I just bought the Forsaken soundtrack from the Bungie store. I will now drop a Forsaken track into a video and export it. It's, okay, I have to find all of these in the game files. I have to extract them. I have to assemble them. I have to know what the BPM is. I have to know what layers, how they play. Some tracks have different variations. You guys can talk ad nauseum about the combo of
how
that integrates into the game to produce the sounds that you're hearing. But what matters is it's not a copy-paste job. It is not easy to do. Not everybody can do what we're doing. And that decision was made early to not just put out low-effort garbage. Like, everything that we've built. Somebody has put it together. We don't use the provided Bungie assets beyond the way that anybody uses anything from the game.
Yeah, like for example, Brushy, God, I wish people could just see how much work goes into something like the Dreaming City, where you've got action layers, you've got the spook layers, and they're all split up into 10-second intervals out of literal hours worth of music that you have to assemble in 10-second chunks that are split into how many layers?
Over 4 sometimes.
4 or 5? Yeah.
And again, to reiterate, this is hundreds of hours of music compiled in 10-second segments.
I'm going to give exact numbers in a second. I'm writing out the math right now.
Okay. But I guess what else do we want to cover? Let's talk about Bungie rewards, because we got to talk about it because of kind of what we know. Again, without going into specifics, and while you're calculating this, I'm going to kind of step into your shoes.
Right.
Anything that ends up as a Bungie rewards track internally at Bungie will never see a real release. That is part of their schema. Those tracks internally are not put on Spotify. They are not put on soundtracks. That is not, it's a side effect. It is part of the decision-making schema that ends up with a track being on Bungie rewards. And while we're talking about Bungie rewards, not Whisper of the Worm, I guess it was Bungie rewards. Prophecy was a Bungie rewards track. So I released my video on June 18th, 2020. The Prophecy tracks didn't even exist until October 6th.
Bungie rewards, yeah.
Right. Or yeah, they could have existed within Bungie, but they didn't get released until October 6th. So, I mean, it's really clear to anybody that listens to that that's not just that file regurgitated up with some fancy graphics. Also, Prophecy left on November 10th, so that means it was in Bungie rewards for how long?
weeks.
A couple weeks, yeah.
So if you weren't there for that couple of weeks, it's just gone.
Also, something that wasn't a Bungie rewards track, but Grasp of Avarice, the new dungeon that released just last month, they released the music to that dungeon. It was available for 3 days to download, and if you didn't get it, good luck. You have to find it somewhere else, which is not even legal.
Right.
Like,
you would have
a legal method of obtaining the Grasp of Avarice music existed for 3 days, and it was free.
Yeah, and then you have, if you wanted that, you'd have to consult somewhere. And again, we don't offer downloads, so you couldn't find that from us. You'd be able to listen to it, but you couldn't. Did anybody even upload that?
Just the Grasp of Avarice music or the Bungie reward?
Yeah, the Grasp of Avarice music at all.
I uploaded the music from the game, but I didn't.
Yeah, like the way it plays in the game,
not the Bungie rewards version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Again, we don't do that.
And something else that Owen, you pointed out earlier, Eighth. For those of you that don't know what Eighth is a super special, super important track, both like with the lore and the legacy of Destiny, going back. How many years? 7 years.
7 or 8, yeah.
I got it written here. It was hosted on BNet for 7 years, and it got taken down earlier for...
Yeah, just last month, yeah.
For what we assume is no reason. But now you can't find it. You can't get that track anywhere. It's not on a soundtrack. Well, it's not on a soundtrack asterisk. That's a whole mess. But... I think ultimately, I want to move on to the ethics of what we're doing and the discretion part. Like, Bresci, kind of what you said earlier, where, what'd you say? It was like, so an actual human saw the video and thought it was a problem? Like, that's the worst part of this whole thing, is that at any point now, based on the statement that the community managers made and Bungie's official stance on, okay, 20% is arbitrary, there's discretion involved. So at any point, anybody could be affected by this that is in that particular lane of content. And there's no solution to that. We can talk ad nauseum about what it's worth, but ultimately, from now on, there is the possibility that you wake up and you have 3 copyright strikes and your channel's gone forever. Period.
Yeah.
And you were asleep when this strike was given out, right?
Yeah, I woke up to it. I was like, wow, what a wonderful day. Oh, I guess I'll check my email and, you know. And here's the thing. Why? I mean, you've seen the video. I'll pull it up. Here's my... Oh, God, no, I don't want to upload this. I just want to open it. Here's my animation that I built. The little 9 logo loop.avi. This 6 seconds is a gigabyte, by the way. I hate .avi, but I digress. This is it, man. This is it. It's just this with the music, and it's there, and nobody's being hurt by this. It follows the guidelines. Somebody looked at that. They watched that video, and they were like, nah. This can't be. This has to not exist anymore. And I want to pull up another file that I have that I never released, which is a video for Eighth, where I've got the alpha loop array, and I've got a little animation, and this little dot slides across as the track plays. It's got some waveforms. I never released this. I had been planning on making a video about Eighth, where I could bring this up. And, you know, I could talk about why I think Eighth is important, and I was doing it in response to the video, or to Eighth being taken down, and why I think it needs to be available in some fashion. But now, like, I look at that and I'm like, can I even upload that? Like, is that going to get copyright struck? Do I have to provide commentary over the music, or put in, like, like, even if I meet the guidelines, which my other video did, like, it could still get copyright struck. And I think it's terrible that I'm in a position where I have to worry about uploading content for a franchise that I still care about, especially with regards to 8th and all that stuff. You know, I've been doing audio for the Dynasty project, not to drag that through the mud real quick, but I've been working my ass off, and so is Promethean here, to do work for that project to support the community. We're getting paid $0.00 for our work. We are donating our time and we're donating our effort because we want to see something cool come to fruition. And it's like, it just is a gut punch, because it's like, why the fuck am I doing that? Beyond helping the creators involved, because I like them and they're great people and they're very talented. But like, it just makes me not want to contribute to the community, because it's like, congratulations, someone's going to find your work and be like, well, this shouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah, also worth noting, you know, for all of us, like, Promethean has lore videos on his channel. Landon, you have original music that we have created. Stuff like your monthlies, or when we worked on Geomantic and the Dawning Carols, and soon a follow-up album to Geomantic.
Yeah, that's coming. And it's like, I have to think about that now. It's like, are they going to decide that 20% of a Geomantic track is, or it fails to meet that threshold and strike it? Like, what?
Or also, you know, what happens if they say, oh well, sorry, we don't like your Whisper of the Worm videos. There's 3 of them. Let's just copyright strike those. Suddenly, your entire channel's gone. That includes your monthlies, which Bungie owns 0% of. That includes Geomantic.
Those are bad videos. Those can go. But let me delete them. Don't strike them. Yeah. But your point stands, though. It's a good point.
But by the way, I have exact numbers now on to compare like 2 specific examples of our compilations versus Bungie's own official releases.
Yeah, give us some data just for context. To be clear, we're not criticizing the soundtracks. We all love the soundtracks. We wish there were more.
So, 7 or 8 years ago, Bungie released the original Destiny 1 soundtrack. That soundtrack had 2 hours and 18 minutes of music. Which for records, 3.5 minutes of that music wasn't even in the game until Legends didn't play in D1. So even what was that?
You want to screen share? Do you have this written?
It's posted it to the Discord if you want to show that. It's written out there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yep, there it is.
But, so, I'm assuming you're showing it. So you can see Destiny 1 complete, like, all the music that was in the game at that time. The Destiny 1 released soundtrack had less than 2 hours and 18 minutes of it. The whole game had 8 hours and 40 minutes. Which is more, right?
It is more. I'll confirm that 8 hours is
the
more
logic of time.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, and I mean, again, like there's all sorts of reasons in how they make a soundtrack, stuff like disk space, bandwidth, like there's reasons why they cut down the soundtrack. But like, I mean, some of my favorite tracks, like the Cosmodrome Patrol music, right? Like we named one of them The Steps. It's this short, like 50 seconds of really beautiful choirs with some percussion under it. That's not on the Destiny 1 soundtrack that was released, but it plays in the game. What if I just want to listen to that? Suddenly, if all this stuff gets taken down, there's just not a way to do that.
You can go to the Cosmodrome, which
and sit there for hours and hope that it plays.
But also, like,
it's all randomized.
With the vault, Bresh, you want to this again?
So, hold on. More numbers. So, real quick, this math was done by counting the total number of time of audio across multiple folders in my computer. and then I removed all the folders that were removed by the DCV to get the changed number. So it also, this does not include seasonal activities. This does not include Vex Offensive, which left the game after 3 months. This is only what was removed from destinations because of the DCV. This does not include seasonal activities. At the end of Season of Arrivals, there was about 52 hours of in-game music in Destiny 2. That's across all the EDZ, that's across Io, that's across Titan, that's across Mars, Mercury, Dreaming City, Tangled Shore, raids like Leviathan, Last Wish. All of this music, right? And all of the variations of that music, because music can play in different ways, is included in that number. Beyond Light, when it came out, not including any new additions to Beyond Light, this is strictly what was removed is accounted for in this number. So Europa, stuff like that, that's not included in this number. This is only what was removed. Beyond Light had 31 hours, less than 31 hours. I rounded up by like 25 minutes. I rounded that up, which means, easy math, Beyond Light removed more than 21 hours worth of music. You can't just go back to Mars if you want to hear that one Mars Patrol track you like. It's gone forever, assuming anyway. That is that's 21 hours. Like, that's almost a full day. Like, you could wake up and listen to only stuff that was removed for almost an entire 24-hour day.
You could.
That's insane.
And here's the thing. It's only going to get worse. As the content vault expands, more places will go. And more music will be lost.
Let me take the Tangled Shore out of this folder real quick. So I said they said there is 1 day 7 hours, which is like 31 hours. Remove the Tangled Shore. It is now 1 day 5 hours. They're just Tangled Shore's gone. Like 2.5 hours of music is gone, and that's not even including. That's not including the other stuff they were removing, like the Presage music, which again was never released.
Or the Dust Giants Redux, which is also never released.
That stuff's so good too. Like, that's the real shame of it, is it's like, this is great for everyone. This stuff existing is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Because like, when we release this music, that just means Bungie doesn't have to.
Or it means that, hey, they see the job that we're doing and they're just satisfied if they want to remove the video. Then maybe they decide to release it. Maybe they see that, hey, this video that has 447,000 views exists. Why don't we release the content? It didn't have that much when this got released, but it had a lot. Maybe they see the popularity of a track and that influences a decision to include it in a collection later down the line. Like, you just never know the interplay there. And the only thing that we can do is perform the service for the community, right? It's to have the tracks available to be listened to. And again, to be clear, I'm not even doing that. This is going to go up on my channel, but if you guys have been paying attention, I've been busy. I'm an accountant. It's tax season. I haven't uploaded for who knows when. Promethean and Bresci are the ones doing the work, and by extension, Owen, you're doing a lot of shit on the back end, even though it's not ending up on your channel. Like, you know, this has all come about because of my channel, but like, this is not. I'm kind of out of this game. It almost doesn't matter to me, but I care enough about this. Like, this is a real problem. So I guess like what I'm trying to get to is like, what's our end game? What's our call to action? Just starting right off the bat, Cosmo, nothing, no offense. That is not good enough clarification for potentially putting tens of thousands of hours of content cumulative between the actual content and the amount of time that we've spent collectively work on it, like pretty consistently for years. Like, that's tens of thousands of hours. It's a lot.
It's not even counting like old videos.
We either need clarification on the 20% thing, like, hey, this is specifically why this got removed, so we can avoid a specific thing, so we can remain compliant. But this kind of vague, wishy-washy, just follow the guidelines, and then we arbitrarily take down what we want. That just can't fly. We need something that's more concrete. Right? Because you guys can't be expected to just be, hey, I guess we'll just keep doing this, and then when my channel gets deleted, I guess it's fine because somebody's making a decision at some point. We need to know what that logic's like, what they're looking for, what the problem is. Then we can avoid it. I look at that prophecy video and I see nothing wrong. If anything, that video meets the guidelines more than any of the other videos that we've made. With the custom animation and the footage and the capture and the effects and everything like that, there are videos that we have that exist that are just a fucking image and audio. And nobody's had a problem with those. And even people that are making money, there are people that exist that upload covers to Spotify and they charge money, or they charge money for stuff that is clearly violating the EULA. That stuff gets off scot-free. And I'm not saying, hey, why don't you crack down on them too? I think some of that stuff, even though it clearly violates the EULA, deserves to exist. I'm just saying, like, that all that stuff's out there, and they decide to do this with this specific video, and I would like to know what the logic was specifically, so that everybody can acclimate, and so that going forward we have a good baseline for what to strive for.
Adaptation.
Yeah, because does everybody agree that the vagueness and the fact that this doesn't make sense with what they provide?
Also, how does one put a number to something? Like, how do you say 20% of this content is yours? Because, like, I mean, a different example of this is for Geomantic, I wrote a piece of music called Via. It is really my own original piece with my friend Paulo Clayton. We worked on it. We wrote most of it, but it uses melodies from Destiny. How do you, in a similar manner, how does one quantify how much of that we actually own? Because it's one instrument on playing the Destiny material on top of all other original stuff. Like, you can't just say, oh, well, this one instrument out of the entire orchestra is playing Destiny material for X number of seconds out of however long the piece is, because that's not actually an accurate representation. That's like, by that point, I could have just took the original Destiny soundtrack and put nothing original in there for that number of seconds, and it would be classified the same way. In a similar manner... Sorry, continue.
I think that's the point, is it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
And until it's not, it needs to not be arbitrary.
Yeah.
There needs to be, this guideline either needs to be followed or it needs to be tossed, or there needs to be new guidelines. They have to protect their IP. But I think for you guys, for Bresci and Promethean, if this sheet of rules existed for this format,
we would follow them.
You would follow it, right? Like, hands down.
Yes.
But because this is different, this is a different type of content from a Let's Play or something like Dynasty, where there's like custom animation and like that kind of thing. This is a different type of content creation, and it's not a creator focused one. So I think that more attention needs to be paid to this. Would you all agree with that?
Yes.
And I think that could be a good thing or a bad thing. They could look at this and be like, this shouldn't exist at all. But like, if that's the deal, then that's the deal. But this whole...
We want something.
There needs to be a consideration, because like, it's not just us. Like Promethean, how many other people have you run into? And Bresci, I know you know some too, and I know you run into people. I can think of at least like 10.
Yeah.
At least a dozen people.
Yeah.
Do this in their own ways or in our way.
And like, yeah, that's not a lot compared to the thousands of Twitch streamers streaming trials or people, you know, doing whatever. But like, I would argue that you look at the numbers that you guys are pushing on the music. If you look at the numbers for engagement and the amount that people want to listen to Destiny music, like this is something the community at large wants, not just us. This is a genuine benefit. You can't convince me that this stuff is not a genuine benefit to the community. So
yeah, just to sort of give you a little broad idea of just how many people rely on these sorts of things. You know, I have an in real life friend who introduced me to someone she knew who played Destiny. This random person that I just met through a friend here locally knew who Promethean and Bresci were and watched their content. That's just somebody I randomly met in person, and they knew Promethean and Bresci.
And like, listen, I talked to a lot of bigger content creators. God, shoot me for that one. But like, here's the community enjoys this existing.
Yeah.
So this being in jeopardy, even if it's only the hammer is raised, that's not a good thing.
And we need clarification on whether the hammer is only just being raised, if this was a fluke, or if this means something going forward.
Right. Like, I would love if they were like, actually, we just think your content is shit, and this was done specifically because we don't like you.
Yeah.
That would be the best case scenario, because then it means we don't have anything to worry about, and it's my issue. But it's not. The way that this was handled, it's not a me issue. As far as I know, this is hey, we reviewed the way that we're handling IP. And this type of content can get struck now.
Yeah, and honestly, I just feel like there's a better solution. We don't monetize any of this. We lose nothing if instead of copyright strike taking the videos down, why don't they just claim the music and make ad revenue off of it? Super easy. That's hundreds of videos, like hundreds of, if not millions of views that they would be making ad revenue from. Why don't they just do that instead?
Isn't that the ideal solution?
Yeah, like it's like, congratulations, you had to do no work other than press a button on all these videos.
I have a solution. Why don't you hire his ass to do this?
Yeah.
Have this be
Seriously.
a service that you offer as a like, I say that critically as if that would be like a super easy. Why don't you just establish a new subdivision of your audio team that specifically focuses on making sure that audio remains available? Why don't you just do that real quick in an afternoon meeting? But for real, this should be a priority. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
You could do it. I know you could do it.
Yeah, like literally Promethean and Bresci know, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't even have to write things down to know what would need to be done. It's just, they know everything. Like if Bungie wanted to, they could hire both of you and just give you whatever quality exists of those in-game files, and you can just recompile everything again, and they can just release it.
I'm kind of being rhetorical, but kind of not.
Yeah.
I agree. You guys could both do that job, but the goal is not for Bungie to create a new position and have to account for that. Again, I'm an accountant. I understand the woes of doing something like that, even at the contract level, but the point is, I don't know.
There are other solutions.
Yeah, there's a number of ways that this can get handled beyond like just holding a gun at everyone and being like, if we just don't like something, we're going to strike it, period. So what do you like? I think if we all said our piece, I'd like to go through each of you, start with you, Promethean, then we'll go Bresci, then we'll go Owen, and then I'll close. Just final remarks, anything else you want to touch on? I think we've talked about, I think, what we wanted to talk about. We've covered our bases.
One thing I wanted to clarify that you said earlier when I was doing math and that I didn't say about Bungie reward.
I interrupted you, sorry.
So with Bungie rewards, as I understand it personally, those music releases exist as a method to market either the game or Bungie rewards. Because the sort of the thing you have to understand is Bungie rewards is not a charity. That is not them. Like there is a financial incentive, whether it's you unlocking things to buy in the store, or other things. There are reasons, corporate reasons, that exists, and that's irrefutable.
It's great. It's great as an alternative to you just go buy stuff from the store. I love the Bungie reward system.
Yeah,
personally.
But ultimately, when they release free music there, like where you unlock it in the game, there are other incentives there than let's just give out this music. And ultimately, those incentives, again, this is as I understand it, those incentives are why that music doesn't get put out in a lost list. That's why it doesn't get put on Spotify. It's because that music exists as a means to market. It is a marketing release.
I think they should follow the accounting trail, maximize profit, claim every single video, and mandate this. Let people continue to do this and reap the benefits of its continued existence. I think they should go full corpo.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was Bungie, the entity.
Yeah, I mean, just don't be Nintendo. That's all we ask.
Yeah. All right. So, final rounds. Are we feeling like we've said our piece?
If Promethean doesn't have anything to say, there was one just kind of thing I wanted to go on about just before we end.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, just kind of talk about things that we've already talked about. I agree that I really don't like how vague Bungie is being about all this. I would really, really like a clear answer. Like, I think we can all agree that we're not even doing this for our channels. Like, no one goes to our channels because they care about us. Like, we're doing this for the music. The most important thing to us is the preservation of this music and having a place for these music tracks to be listened to after the content and the music itself aren't playable in game anymore. So if Bungie has a problem with us doing that, please tell us why. Give us a list of things to follow and we'll do it. Like, I think we're all more than happy to follow their guidelines if they can just communicate that with us. But with being really vague and leaving us guessing and waking up to copyright strikes, like, I don't think that's right at all. And it's really just frustrating a bit more than anything. Like, I think we'd all be really happy if they would just claim all of our videos. Like, if they want to work with us and get on that happening, like, I think we'd all say yes to that. Like, if they want money from our videos, do it. Like, we aren't doing this for money. We aren't doing this for any kind of profit, attention, or anything. We just want this music to be heard. If Bungie wants any profit from that, like, by all means, please, if you want to work something out with us, please reach out. But we can't have any of this being vague stuff.
I agree. It really is a matter of we've collectively spent a long time trying to follow the guidelines as much as we possibly can because we know how sensitive stuff like this can be. And for years, it's worked out completely fine. And to have this sudden change with little to no real explanation is a little worrisome because, like Brashy said, there can't be any vagueness when it comes to these things. We need definitive, clear answers on how to proceed or otherwise reseed. Like, we can adapt to whatever is told to us. So if we can get that clear answer, then, I mean, yeah, we'd all follow it.
I mean, something we talked about earlier today, Promethean, is it's like, would we have to go back and re-render hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos just to be compliant with the guidelines? And I think we were on the same page when it was like, yeah, okay, we just nuke what's there. And you just restart the upload. Like, the goal is for it to exist in perpetuity. Nothing about what's there matters beyond the fact that it's there. I'm sure you feel the same way, Brushy. You can speak to that. I'm not sure what your render schedule looks like now.
Oh, you're exactly right. Like, there's been times where I like notice something wrong with the video, and I'm not happy with it, so I unlist the previous video. I don't care if there's already like 100,000 views on it. I'm gonna unlist it and I'm gonna redo it. So if I have to redo this to fit the guidelines so that I can keep doing something that I love doing, I'm gonna do it.
I unlist and delete my old videos if I make new versions that are higher quality.
And like about the not getting about the views thing, Promethean, you've lost what, 2+ million views off your previous Riven videos alone?
Oh yeah, because I unlisted them because I had a new version.
Yeah, like Riven version 1 had like 2 million views. He enlisted it and made a better version, and then he made his version 2. It had like 1 million views. That's gone because he made an even better version. Like.
Yeah, if that doesn't make it clear that views isn't our priority, then I don't really know what does.
And also, to make a statement about this is not us attention seeking. This is not a gotcha. We finally get to make a video where I go like this in the thumbnail and I'm like, Bungie copy struck my video. This is just us talking about this because our community has no voice. Nobody even thinks about us, but we're there. Like, right? Like, nobody's like, wow, I wonder how the Destiny archiving content community's rolling. Nobody gives a shit. And like, we're okay with that though. Like, we just want, this is an opportunity where a statement has been made specifically with regards to what we're doing. And now we kind of get to
ask for clarification.
Yeah. And what I really don't want to happen is for this to incite this wave of scrutiny. I think we all just want transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Bungie. I just want clarification. I want them to talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
I do not personally condone witch hunting. That's a no for me.
And we
unless it's Witch Queen, but
hey, February.
We're going witch hunting in February.
Yeah, 1 month.
Something I also want to make clear, kind of when I was grilling what Cosmo said earlier, is he is under the impression that we're not meeting the guidelines. So we need to know where, like, do they not consider this meaningful content? Is this not player created content? Is it not animations, graphics with my gameplay in the background? Like if the decision is, hey, we think this is low effort and it's not real content, we still need to know that that's the official stance.
Yeah, and like you know, there's similar videos to like your prophecy video, like just the gameplay footage. There are people out there like Guardian Photographer on Twitter, or people who have YouTube channels of like moving visuals, or they just record the ambience and beauty of the game. That was a part of our video for prophecy. Is that suddenly not okay? Like, they're taking down the prophecy video. What's going to happen to that stuff?
Yeah, it really does. If you drill through and you don't think about it in terms of like our genre of video, but in terms of like what can you apply this context to, It gets really nasty real quick when you think about the now. We can extrapolate out, and it's a terrible, awful scenario. I don't think that's necessarily what's happening, but I think clarifying cuts everybody's ability to extrapolate out and think of a doomsday scenario.
Yeah.
So, I guess closing remarks then.
One final closing remark. The final thing on the subject of clarification for me is just across all of this, right? What does Bungie support? What do they not support? Because there's a model rips Discord with thousands of people in it ripping assets like textures, models, audio, all that stuff from the game. And how many people have they hired directly out of that service to work on the game because of their stuff in the Model Rips Discord?
So I do think that we can make this comparison to that, but I think audio gets scrutiny because of the past legal issues. Yeah. Specifically with regards to music.
Yeah.
This is an area where they are less likely to take chances and to allow content than any other part of the game.
Yeah, and just sort of to go off of that, there's not a worldwide set of laws and rules about how copyrighted models works, but just, in the United States, we've got DMCA that says that's a guideline of how music specifically works, and if they don't follow those rules, there are consequences.
We're DMCA compliant. We're not offering.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that's another reason, why it's not necessary. Like what I said was anecdotal purely. That's why it's not fair to compare model rips and stuff like that to music, because there's not a set of DMCA laws that applies to model ripping from video games, but there is a set of rules across the country and across other countries and across the world about how music is treated specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you honestly make a good point there. It is one of the more well-regulated and legally tangly industries. Fresh, you work in audio now too, so you're going to work in audio, so you're in the mix now too.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anybody else have anything to add beyond that? I really hope that we can look back at this and scoff at how frightened we were. Right?
Yeah. I think we nailed what we all wanted to say and what we want from this whole situation. I don't really have anything to add to that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, remember to slap that like button and subscribe. No, here's what you should do. Kindly bring this up and make this a part of the conversation that you're having surrounding this game. This is the thing that matters. Don't harass anyone, please. God, don't harass anyone. But this is important to a lot of people. If it's important to you, get the word out. Let's try to figure this out.
And again, because I know people will try to do this anyway, we do not officially condone.
Don't pirate the fucking music. Good Lord. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Otherwise, we'd slap all this shit into a torrent and upload it. If we wanted to go that route, it's way easier to do that and anonymize it and have that be the method. The whole point is we'd like for there to be a nice legal avenue for you to consume this content. So don't be a tool. Buy the soundtracks. They're more likely to make more soundtracks if you buy the soundtracks. So go buy the soundtracks.
Yeah, to follow up with that, I have the soundtrack link to the Bungie store in the descriptions for all my videos, and I clearly state, if you want to support Bungie's music team and download the soundtracks, that's the place to do it.
Right. I think I took a picture of it. I probably pointed at it earlier. From the description of the video that got nuked, I literally think my bottom line is, unfortunately, I'm unable to provide lossless downloads for in-game assets, as this violates Bungie's terms of service and end-user license agreement.
That's also almost word for word in every one of Promethean's videos.
Right. So, guys, yeah. Keep it clean, as the kids say. All right. So we
I
end
think
it?
so. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna stop the video.